Hello everybody, welcome to the bench. Going to be talking about today some basics of lighting of 101. Subject today is the Romulan War Bird. This is a pretty tricky kit. You have to go through and painfully drill each and every one of these holes into in order to get it to light, and that's another subject to talk about, how to get that straight and even. Took a little bit of cheating, but it worked out. The challenge of this particular kit is, how do you get all of these lights to be consistent and even? And when you look on a lot of the boards, when you look online, you start to see a lot of fiber optic is used with tabs and this and that. And I try to approach things a bit simply, to try to get as much spread as the light. And you can see there's a lot of spread on the light, and the light in the holes, and that is pretty even. Very happy with that. So when you look at a lot of videos online, they really say, well, we put a light here and I did this and did that, but they really don't show you how they did that. I just want to go through some of the things that I do to get this lit. So let's get started. This is the head, and you can see there's just a bunch of the lights were very even, very happy with it. Again, I'm going to be filling this with microcrystal clear, and you're going to see that the lights start to pop in all directions, especially how the crystal clear will collect the light that is inside. So you probably wonder exactly what is in there to light it, and basically that's it. I have a 3 mil. I'm going to turn this off. If it turns off on its own, there you go. Basically, we'll turn on the regular light. 3 mil light right here. This is a 5. I could have done the 3. That's all I had at the time. And then there is just one LED strip of 3 bulbs right there. And that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulbs. Now, you probably wondered how I did that. A couple of the tricks that I use that I've learned over the years is white paint on the inside. You can see how that's all white painted. This has been light blocked, and then the white coat goes on the inside. This is a regular Duplicolor base white, cheapest one I could find, and then use that for the reflection. The first step in doing lighting is a couple things. Is you need to know where are you going to light. So I first start off with pictures of the kit that you're trying to build. What does it look like on TV? So this is the Romulan War Bird. Again, this is sort of some pictures of it that I had off of the web, printed it out. Basically, you could see you have the pictures of the the lighting of the nacelles, as well as there's this light back here, which I still don't know where the hell that goes, but I'm going to try to figure that out. And then you have some of the lighting in the front, which are sort of off and on, and I'm trying to debate how I'm going to do that going forward and making that dim, if I want to make it dim at all. Next, from based off the pictures, start off with the lighting, sort of lighting blueprint. I have several of them. Try to pick again how I want these lights to look at, make sure things different glow into other things, and then depending on the lights, I also have to figure out is where the hell you're going to run these wires. This particular one, way the model is made, I'm probably going to have to run the wires from the head down to the back, through the engineering area, I believe that's what it's called, and then back down to the base. So bit of a challenge. But since I'm going to be running lights in this area and lights here, it's something that's simple to do. So a couple of examples of lighting pens in the past. This is the Olympic airplane. Sort of, where do you want your flashes? Where do you want this? It's really a good way to start to try to collect your thoughts, so that when you go back and try to figure out where the hell things have to go, you can. So that's one thing I'll recommend doing. So basically, when it comes to LEDs, I like to keep everything as simple as possible. For LEDs, I have two things that I work with. Number one, LED tape. Buy it off of Amazon, real simple. I am a little different in that I like to use waterproof. So this is a waterproof LED, and you can see there's like a silicone plastic on top of it. If I could get close to my makeshift tripod. So there's like a silicone coating over it. What do I do with the silicone coating? If I had to go different colors, before I decided to buy blue LED, I would just paint right over the blue LED. It also protects the LED, so if you have to put something to diffuse the light, you could actually glue things to it. The other thing that I use for the LEDs is just bulk LEDs. DigiKey, these are dirt cheap. You buy it by the 100. This is what I got from my last order. Truthfully, I bought 100 LEDs years ago. I thought I would never use them. I used them. So I buy resistors. I try to make sure that whatever LEDs that I get from DigiKey, I use the same resistor, whether it's 5mm and 3mm, and that's you can see some of the coating on that if you want to. That is a subject for a later day. As for sizing resistors, my favorite one that I think brings out the best light are these 3mm. 3mm LEDs, buy it by the bunch. Now I do have some specialty LEDs that I use for flickering and other things. Sometimes you need to have a different color between cool white and warm white. So I have some of those depending on the model. Truthfully, when you have a model on display, a lot of people don't criticize you for that. If it's warmer, if it's cooler, if it's actually based upon the model. So sometimes I don't really mind what I do. So what I do is I start off by making LEDs at bulk, depending how many I'm going to have. Make a couple because I tend to burn some out. And again, I have also a weird way of mass producing my LEDs. So here are the lights that I made for this kit. Whole wasp nest of bird nest, whatever you call it, of the lights. Actually, I took them all away. So take one. I use magnet wire for everything. You really don't need large wires for anything except for the end. Basically, your typical magnet wire. Now since Radio Shack is closed, it's where I used to get all my magnet wire. I had to go to a different type of magnet wire. Of course, you go on Amazon, you buy everything in the thousands versus what I had before. It's a lot cheaper. But there's a little bit of issue that I found out when it comes to the temperature of the coating. This one, these ends burned off just nicely on the red. But when I went to the brown, found out that this was a 200C magnet wire, and that does not melt via your soldering iron. So, little thing that I learned, I had to buy a whole new roll of new material that I'll be testing in a couple days. But for this model at least, I pretty much have the lights that I need. So what do? When it comes to the light, a couple things you could, there's no resistor if you notice. This is not a resistor LED. What I do is I take the resistor and I run it down the way. How far do I run it? I don't know. I just pick a distance, go with it. I could always bunch up the wires and glue them down, but I wanted to have the resistors in this kit away from the head of the model, were in this area where I would have some problems with seeing it through the windows. I wanted the resistors to be sort of in the body up in this area, so I would run the wires out and then go from there. So when it comes to basic aiming of lights, how does that happen? Basically, and I'm going to start off with a regular light, new light. Couple tips with having the resistors here. You have to be careful with one thing. You will have your resistor hit something else. And with that, it's going to short out, because you will guarantee yourself you'll get the 12 volt side on the 1.5 volt side of your resistor and fry it instantaneously. I cannot tell you how many times I've done that, so just be careful with that. Try to shield what you have going on. So trying to sort through all my wires. As you can see, I do a marvelous job of keeping things organized. So I have my light. How do I do the aiming? What do I do is I start to take the different lights and I put it in different places. So as you can see here, we got the 3 mil, and then I originally had a plan for a light, as you could see right here, and this light was going to sort of shine on the front. And all I do is literally I hold the lights down, close it, and just to see what the effect of that light does. It actually does a pretty darn good job. That's one light bulb instead of the 3. So I just had one light bulb light everything up, and now I'm rethinking the LED strip I put on the bottom, because that really looks that good. So and then I would tuck in behind here so that you wouldn't see it, but you could see how beautifully that lights up everything. This neck's a little bit harder, so I wanted to make sure I get a light in the neck, and then so I would just put one light here and just try to see, hey, does that light everything up? And it does. So I sort of picked different areas of how I want to go. Again, with this one, I did glue it all in. I could rip it out if I want to, sorry. And but I didn't. Engineering area with these light bulbs, and one quick tip. I don't have any shielding on the LED, so what happens is you have to be careful that you don't let these contacts touch each other. One thing that I do, because I always mess up, is for my shielding, I just take a little bit of hot glue and put it in between the contacts. There's your shielding. It'll never go together, and then you just have to worry about cooling it down, making sure you don't touch it. And then this will also be a nice little base to glue this into your model. And then there's your shielding. Quick and simple. Engineering area. Couple things. You can see how we did the lighting on there. It's real simple. You know, you see a lot of modelers online, really good painters doing this. They show off their kits. They really don't show them building. Outside of the master Boyd, who shows a lot of his work, who I learned from, not a lot of people show you what you do, especially for lighting, just sort of what they think they want to do. They did. I don't want to see what they did. I want to see how did they do it. So I just want to show you this. This is the engineering area. You have, this goes in the back, and you can see all the holes that are in there. And I just want to make sure that I light this evenly. So I'm going to try a bulb right here. Again, I did solder them. I could take it out or not solder it. I did glue it. Let's see how this looks. How did I get my spread with the white? Beautiful. That one bulb does everything. Now I can aim it, take it, aim it, put it down, and I'm really happy with that. Exactly how I want it to see. So obviously I'm off on one side, fix that, put it in the middle. Again, this is just for aiming, just seeing how the light's good. Really good spread. I want that in the middle. So the next thing, hot glue. This particular one, I'm trying to decide which way to go with it. I am very careful with how I bend things. If I bend anything, you need to make sure you don't do sharp corners. Make sure that you have it as consistent, as even as possible. And then I am a fan of gluing everything. I glue all the contacts down, I glue all the wires down, and I like to do it while it's lit, so that if there is any problems, so that light's going to go right here, I will know as it's glued in. So if you could see, I'll turn this off. It's about where I want to have the light. Wait till that turns off. in the middle, right behind there, to get that good glare. You could see how bent the wires focus. There it goes, somewhat. Sorry. So you bent the wires. I'm just going to take a hot pair of hot glue, bunch of hot glue, glue that in there, just so I could get this bulb down. So that glue that I put in between the two leads, that's actually going to help stick things together as I do this, and I just have to, in pain, hold this down and locate it. So what I typically do is I'll hold it down with a screwdriver and then sit while the hot glue cools down. So a couple things that I have is when I do a kit, I always want to have lights on one side. I don't like to have it everywhere else. I want to have it on one side just because it's going to make things easier when it comes to it's going to make life easier when it comes to putting it together. If I got wires on both sides of a kit, it is an absolute nightmare to try to keep that together. So there's our light, as you could see, one in the back. Let's do a quick test. Lights on. Looks like the glue sort of subdued it, but how are we looking? Beautiful. Nice spread. Everything's lit. Both sides, exactly what we're looking for. So next thing is I like to do is all these feeds. As I mentioned, I like to glue everything. So I'm going to take this wire because I want it out of the way. I don't know where I want it yet. But I'm going to come into this corner and I'm going to glue the wire down back here so that I get it locked in sort of away from out of sight, out of mind. If I have to, I've been known in the past to gone through and paint wires white. So while that glues down and I have that secure sort of far away, I can next go through and work on the closer wires and get that locked down. So sort of like you take up the slack, tack it down, let that cool, and go forward. I sometimes wipe it. It gets a little hot, care less, I'm used to hot glue anyway. So right now, these leads right here, I really want to get this glued down, protect it. I'll glue that down really good. You can see, I think I go through about 5 pounds of hot glue per model. That's a joke, but just to make sure that the leads are going, because anywhere where I have potentially bends in this wire, I always glue it down, because I want to make sure that any bends is a chance that you can start to have problems. So I'll run the wires this way. I'm going to be having a hole somewhere in here for all the wires of the kit to go through. All the wires from the head are going to come down through here. And let's let that cool down. Turn it back on again. See what we've done. It's still light, so I didn't short it out. That's always wonderful. Put the cap on. Look at that. Beautiful. Everything is right there. So that's basic in aiming, in trying to, without fiber optics. Again, when I put that crystal clear in there, it's going to close right up. It's going to be there's a lot of holes there, of course, but trying to do this without fiber optics and just keep it as simple as possible with the simple parts that you have in the in your bin. So that's it for now. Be working on the nacelles next, and try to keep that for another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep on learning. Thanks.